Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I'm back with another Cricut video where I'll be comparing the Cricut Infusible ink to other top brands to see which one performs better. I really hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. If you do, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. And I do want to thank Cricut so much for sponsoring today's video. Now let's go ahead and get right into it. For the first one today, I'm going to be comparing Infusible ink sheets on these two tops that I'm showing here. But to create the design, I went into my design space and selected images, and then I just typed out the word heart and love. And this is just going to pull up, different hearts and words that say love. I really liked the first one that popped up, so here I'm just going to be selecting that and then going to the bottom right-hand side and inserting it onto my canvas. Then the next thing I did was just went up to the top and resized the width to 7 inches, and then it made the height just under 6.5 inches. Next, I'm going to the top right-hand side and selecting Make It. I'm going to be using my 12 by 24 mat today, and then I'm going and selecting Mirror because anytime you're using Infusible ink, you always want to mirror your image. And then I'm selecting Continue and just choosing the material that I'm going to be using today, which is the Infusible ink sheet. Then for that second shirt, I just did the same thing. I went into images, only this time I typed out heart and mom. I went through all of the designs until I found one that I liked, and it was actually exactly the same as the love one, but it says mom, so it was perfect. I just inserted it onto my canvas. I did the same thing, just resized the width to 7 inches. The height was a little under 6.5, and then just did my 12 by 24 mat, mirrored the image, and again chose Infusible ink as my material. The two that I'm going to be comparing today are the Cricut Infusible ink sheets and then also this Make Market sublimation sheets, which are pretty much the same as the Infusible ink sheets from Cricut. I'm going to be opening up the Cricut one first. So once you open the box, it comes in just like this black packaging, and then it does come with 2 colors in this pack that I bought, this tan color, the Leopard, and then you get the butcher paper as well in this pack. And then for the Make Market brand, it's almost identical. Once you open up the package, it has that same black packaging just like the Cricut one. And then once you open it up, this one also came in a 2-sheet pack, and they both sets, the Cricut and the Make Market, are both 12 by 12 sheets. And then this Make Market one just has the leopard print, the red color, and then also the butcher paper that came along with it. The 2 sheets that I'm going to be comparing are these leopard print ones from each brand. I know the prints are not exactly the same, but this is the closest I could get from each brand. So for the first one, I'm going to be doing the Cricut one. It just has the leopard print on the front side. The back is just a plain film backing. You want to place your Infusible ink sheet with the backing side down and the print facing upward. So I just place it on my mat. But this one did want to keep rolling up. I don't know if maybe my mat isn't sticky enough, but I just used some Scotch tape on all 4 sides just to hold it down so that it would cut correctly and it didn't roll up when it was trying to cut. The machine I'm using today is the Cricut Explore 3, and I didn't have any issues cutting out the Cricut brand of the Infusible ink transfer sheet. And then once it was all cut, it was time to weed all around the heart and the word in the middle. And I didn't have any issues with this. It just weeded beautifully, and I didn't have any mess ups and nothing tore or anything like that. Now for the Make Market brand, the leopard is on the front side, of course, and then the back side has the grid background on the film. So I did the same thing, just placed it on my 12 by 24 mat. This does feel a little bit thinner than the Cricut brand, so it was staying on my mat a little bit better, but it was still wanting to roll up. So I did use the Scotch tape on all 4 sides, just like I did with the Cricut one, just to keep things consistent. I didn't have any issues with the Explore 3 cutting out the design of the Make Market brand, but when I was weeding, since this is a little bit thinner than the Cricut brand, I did have to be a little bit more careful not to tear my design. I'm going to be using the Cricut Easy Press 2 for the heat today. I'm setting the temperature at 385 and I'm going to be doing it for 40 seconds on each shirt. The shirts I'm going to be using are these Cricut Infusible Ink Women's V-neck tees. And then the first thing I'm doing is just taking the Easy Press 2 and heating up the area where I'm going to be using my Infusible ink sheet for about 5 seconds just to get out any moisture and wrinkles that are in the shirt. I'm then going to be placing a piece of white cardstock on the inside of the shirt just so that none of that ink bleeds through to the back. I'm then just taking my Cricut one that I'm going to be doing first here and just placing it on the top center of the shirt right underneath the V. And then once I have that on, I'm placing a piece of butcher paper over top and then using the Easy Press 2 for the 385 for 40 seconds. After the 40 seconds was up, I did let everything cool to the touch before removing the Infusible ink sheet. This is how it turned out. The color is super vibrant and there was no mess ups at all. I'm really impressed with the Cricut brand Infusible ink sheets. Now for the Make Market brand, I did everything the same. I'm using a Cricut Infusible Ink Women's V-neck tee. I'd already got the moisture out of the shirt with the Easy Press 2. I then put the cardstock in the shirt, put my design down, and then I'm using the butcher paper over top, the same 385 for 40 seconds. I let everything cool to the touch before removing the sublimation sheet. The design turned out really nice as well. The color is really vibrant with no mess ups. I will say the only issue I had was that the paper was a little bit thinner when weeding. And this is the two shirts next to each other. Obviously the leopard print's not the same, but I think they both are very nice and turned out super cute. Next, I'm going to be showing you a comparison for these Live Simply coasters that I created. But first, I'm going to show you how I created the design in Design Space. So I opened up a new canvas in Design Space, went to Images, and then typed in wreath. This is going to pull up a ton of wreaths all in the Cricut Design Space. I just went through and chose the wreath that I like the best and then inserted it onto my canvas. Once I have it on my canvas, I then went and selected text and just simply typed out the word live, and then I did a second text and typed out the word simply. I'm then going to be changing the font, and the font that I ended up doing was a cursive font in Design Space, and it's called BFC Farmhouse Christmas. So I just changed the live to that font and then also the word simply to that font. Once I had those changed, I then just made sure that both words were center aligned, and then I attached the two words together to make them a one piece. I'm then placing them inside of the wreath, and then I'm going to be highlighting both the wreath and the words together, center aligning them, and then also attaching them. Once I have them attached, I'm going up and just selecting that it is going to be a pen because I'm going to be drawing it out. And then I'm going to be changing the size here to 3 by 3. Then I'm going to be selecting Make It. Then for this one, I'm going to be doing it on a 12 by 12 mat. And then because it's infusible ink, I'm going to be mirroring my image. The two that I'm going to be comparing today are this Cricut Infusible Ink Pen in this pink color, and then also this Caesar Sublimation Marker in this pink color. Now you can get the Caesar markers at pretty much any craft store that you can buy the Cricut Infusible Ink Pens. Up first, I'm going to be doing the Cricut brand, and I'm going to be using this piece of laser copy paper, and I'm going to be placing it onto my light Cricut mat and just pressing it down. Then I'm just going to be placing my Cricut pen in slot A of my Cricut Explore 3 so that it can draw out the image that I created in the Cricut Design Space. Once the image is all drawn out, I'm then just going to be using that same infusible ink pen and coloring in all of the rest of the image. I'm then going to be getting my Cricut Easy Press 2 all ready. I'm going to be doing the coasters at 400 degrees for 240 seconds. This is what the Cricut Heat Guide recommends for the infusible ink on the coasters. I'm then going to be placing a piece of white cardstock down on my heat mat, then the Cricut coaster. Then I'm just going to be taking the image that I've drawn out with my Cricut and then colored in, but I'm am going to be just cutting it into like a circle shape first because it is a little bit easier to place on the coaster this way. So I'm placing it with the Infusible ink side down on the coaster, and then I am using some Cricut heat tape around the edges just to hold that image into place. Next, I'm placing a piece of butcher paper over the coaster and then the Easy Press 2 at 400 degrees for these 240 seconds. I did let everything cool to the touch before removing the butcher paper and then the copy paper from the image. The color was so vibrant, and I just love the Cricut Infusible Ink Pens. They are awesome. Next, I'm going to be doing the Caesar sublimation marker. Now, I didn't realize this at first, but it does not fit into the Cricut Explore 3 slot A. So what I ended up doing was just drawing out the image with the Infusible Ink Cricut pen. And then once it was all drawn out, I used the sublimation marker to just color everything in so that I could get a good comparison of the colors and how they transfer. I did the exact same steps on a Cricut coaster with this sublimation marker, and I used the heat tape to attach the image to the coaster, did the butcher paper over top and the heat press at 400 degrees for the 240 seconds. And then once everything was cool, I removed the copy paper. And again, this is what they look like side by side. Obviously, they're not exactly the same, but I do think that the color transfer was a little bit better on the Cricut one, but they are both really good options. I really hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, I hope that you will consider subscribing. Please be sure to hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of my future videos. I would love to hear in the comments down below which brands are your favorite to use, and I do want to thank Cricut again so much for sponsoring today's video. Thank you so much for watching.